Have you ever had that moment when someone says something to you, and all of a sudden you start doubting yourself? You might think, wait, why did I say yes to that? Or maybe you've had that feeling of being pressured into something you didn't really want to do, but somehow, it just felt easier to go along with it. If you've ever been caught in a situation like that, then you've probably experienced the power of dark psychology without even realizing it. The truth is, manipulation tactics are used on us all the time by people we know, trust, and even love. They're sneaky, often subtle, and most of the time, we don't even recognize them until it's too late. These tactics can make you question your own decisions, your memories, or even your worth. But once you understand how they work, you can start spotting them a mile away and protecting yourself from being pulled into someone else's psychological games. Let's start with one of the most common tricks, guilt tripping. This one might sound simple, but it's incredibly effective. You know those moments when someone says, "I guess I'll just go alone then, not like you care," or, "I did all this for you, the least you could do is help me out"? That's guilt tripping at work. It's when someone uses your natural desire to help others against you, making you feel bad for not doing what they want. The tricky part is they make it feel like it's your fault for not stepping up, even though they've never actually asked you directly. This tactic is a form of emotional manipulation because it's playing with your conscience and making you feel like a bad person for not agreeing to their request. Then there's gaslighting, a tactic that's used in so many situations, you might not even notice it until it's too late. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone says, "You're just overreacting," or "That didn't happen the way you remember"? Gaslighting is when someone makes you question your own memory, perception, or sanity. They deny facts, twist the truth, and make you doubt yourself so they can control how you think and feel. Over time, gaslighting can make you second-guess everything, from your opinions to your relationships and even your own experiences. It's one of the most dangerous psychological tricks because it slowly breaks down your confidence, leaving you vulnerable to manipulation. Next up is love bombing, a tactic often used by people who want to win your trust quickly and make you emotionally dependent on them. Imagine you've just started dating someone and all of a sudden, they're showering you with compliments, gifts, and promises of forever. Feels amazing, right? But here's the thing. Love bombing isn't about love, it's about control. The person doing it is trying to make you feel special so that you start relying on them for your emotional needs. They'll make you feel like you're the most important person in the world, and once they got you hooked, they start asking for things in return. At first, it feels like affection, but over time you might start feeling obligated, and that's when the manipulation really kicks in. Then there's the tactic known as playing the victim. We've all seen it before. The person who always seems to have a poor me story no matter what happens. Maybe they tell you how hard their life is, how everyone's always out to get them, or how they've never been treated fairly. They make you feel sorry for them, and in turn you start doing things for them that you might not usually agree to. What's dangerous about playing the victim is that it's not about asking for help, it's about controlling how you feel. When someone always puts themselves in the role of the victim, they are manipulating you into feeling responsible for their emotions. This might make you go out of your way to help them, even when you're the one who's been wronged. Finally, there's the silent treatment, one of the most passive-aggressive manipulation tactics out there. Sounds simple, but it's incredibly effective. When someone stops talking to you, ignores your messages, or just shuts you out, they're trying to get you to feel anxious, guilty, or worried. The idea is to make you feel bad for something you may or may not have done, in order to force you into apologizing or doing something to make things right. It's a tactic that doesn't require a single word, but it still gets the job done. The person using it might not say anything, but they're making you feel isolated and uncertain, which gives them control over the situation. These manipulation tactics don't always look like manipulation at first. They might feel harmless in the moment or even like just part of a normal interaction. But when you start to recognize them, you realize how powerful and dangerous they can be. And once you know what to look for, you can protect yourself from being caught up in these games. The thing about these tactics is that they're often disguised as something else. Guilt tripping might just feel like someone being upset with you, gaslighting might seem like someone being defensive, and the silent treatment might be brushed off as someone just needing space. But when you start to see these behaviors for what they are, you can stop them before they drag you in. The key is recognizing when someone is using emotional manipulation against you, and learning to trust your instincts when something feels off. There's one more tactic that's incredibly dangerous, yet many people don't even notice it until it's too late: triangulation. This is when someone pits two people against each other by spreading lies, rumors, or half-truths. Imagine this. You're in a conversation with someone and they tell you that another person said something negative about you, something that isn't true. The goal here is simple: to create confusion, mistrust, and division. The manipulator wants to make you feel uncertain about your relationship with the third party, so they can control how you think and act. This tactic doesn't just hurt friendships. It can destroy teams, families, and entire social groups. And what's even worse is that you may never even find out the full truth, because the manipulator is controlling the narrative the whole time. Then there's the idea of blame shifting, where the person manipulates you into taking responsibility for things that aren't your fault. You've probably seen this happen when someone makes a mistake and instead of owning up to it, they turn it around and say, "Well, if you hadn't done that, this wouldn't have happened." Or, "It's your fault because you didn't tell me sooner." Blame shifting works because it makes you question your own role in a situation, making you feel like you're the one in the wrong. It can create a lot of unnecessary guilt and stress, and it can even make you second-guess your own decisions or actions. The worst part? It lets the person who's using the tactic off the hook, while they get to control how the situation unfolds. Now, let's talk about fear-based manipulation, a tactic that can cause a lot of damage without anyone saying a word. This is when someone uses your fears or insecurities against you, creating a sense of impending doom or disaster. For example, they might say, "If you don't do this, you'll regret it for the rest of your life," or, "If you don't help me, something terrible could happen." The goal of fear-based manipulation is to force you into making decisions based on emotion rather than logic. And since fear is such a powerful motivator, it can lead you to make choices that you wouldn't normally make. Fear makes us more vulnerable to influence, and manipulative people use this to their advantage. Then we have gaslighting in relationships. We've all heard the phrase, "It's not you, it's me," right? But sometimes gaslighting goes much deeper than that. In relationships, gaslighting is when one person tries to manipulate the other by undermining their sense of reality. They might make you feel like you're overreacting to a situation or even make you think that things that actually happened never did. They'll twist things around so that you question your memory, your feelings, or your perceptions, which leaves you feeling confused, anxious, and unsure. Over time, this tactic can erode your trust in yourself, making you more dependent on the manipulator for validation and reassurance. What makes these tactics so dangerous is how they sneak in. A person might not even realize they're being manipulated, or they might feel like they're just in a situation where things are out of their control. But manipulation at its core is about control. And once you give up that control, it becomes much harder to regain it. Recognizing these signs early can help you avoid being dragged into situations where you lose control of your own thoughts, feelings, and decisions. Now, let's talk about what you can do to protect yourself from these tactics. The first step is awareness. Just being able to spot manipulation can make a huge difference. Something feels off, trust your instincts. Ask yourself, does this situation make you feel guilty or confused for no good reason? Do you find yourself second-guessing your own memories, decisions, or feelings? Those are huge red flags. When you catch yourself feeling this way, take a step back and try to look at the situation from a distance. Second, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Manipulators thrive when they can push your limits and make you feel uncomfortable. Setting clear boundaries about what you will and won't tolerate is one of the most powerful ways to protect yourself. If someone is trying to manipulate you, don't be afraid to say, "That's not okay," or "I'm not comfortable with that." And if they continue pushing, trust yourself enough to walk away. You don't have to explain your decision. You just have to stand firm. Third, seek support from others. It's easy for manipulators to isolate you from the people who could help you see things clearly. They may try to make you doubt your friends or family, but staying connected to those who have your best interests at heart can give you the perspective you need to avoid being pulled into their games. Whether it's a trusted friend, a mentor, or even a therapist, having people around you who can offer advice and a fresh perspective can help you stay grounded. Lastly, always trust your gut. Your instincts are a powerful tool when it comes to recognizing manipulation. If something feels off or makes you uncomfortable, don't ignore that feeling. Manipulators rely on your willingness to doubt yourself, but your gut knows better. Trust it and take action before things go too far. Manipulation is subtle, but it's also avoidable. By recognizing the signs and protecting yourself early, you can avoid falling into the traps others try to set for you. And remember, no one should make you feel guilty, confused, or unsure of your own worth. You deserve to have relationships and interactions that are built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding, not manipulation. As you start becoming more aware of the manipulation tactics people use, you'll find that a lot of what they do is about creating a sense of dependency. This is especially true in manipulative relationships, whether personal, romantic, or professional. Have you ever met someone who just seems to always be there when you need them, but once you start getting too close, things feel like they're starting to slip through your fingers? Manipulators are masters at making you feel like you need them, even when it's clear that they're not adding value to your life. They may subtly take on a caretaker role, making you feel like you're incapable of handling things on your own. Over time, they break down your self-esteem and convince you that you can't make decisions without them. The danger here is that the more reliant you become, the more control they have over your choices and behavior. Another key manipulation tactic is the use of excessive flattery and charm. At first, this may seem harmless. Who doesn't like compliments? But manipulative people know exactly how to use praise to get something in return. They may shower you with compliments about your appearance, your intelligence, or your talents, but it's not because they truly admire you. It's because they want something from you. By boosting your confidence, they create a sense of indebtedness, making you feel like you owe them. This tactic is often used by people who want to manipulate you into doing things for them, whether it's agreeing with their ideas, making decisions that benefit them, or doing favors. They may say things like, "I really admire how you think. It's one of the reasons I always turn to you," to make you feel special and valuable, but really they're just softening you up to be used. In a similar vein, victimhood manipulation is another tactic that works like a charm in getting people to sympathize with a manipulator's needs. Some manipulators constantly play the victim, no matter what the situation is. They act like they're always the one being mistreated or misunderstood, which causes people to feel bad for them and start taking their side. It works so well because people have an instinctive need to help those they perceive as vulnerable or oppressed. By playing the victim, the manipulator avoids taking responsibility for their own actions and instead shifts the blame onto others or the world at large. They get others to feel like it's their duty to help them, without ever addressing the underlying issue or taking accountability. Eventually, the people around them are worn down and end up doing the manipulator's bidding out of guilt or pity. One of the more subtle but highly effective tactics is emotional isolation, often seen in toxic friendships or relationships. This tactic happens when someone starts to subtly distance you from your support network. Whether that's your friends, family, or colleagues, by creating doubts in your mind about their loyalty or intentions. They'll make comments like, "I don't know if your friend really has your best interest at heart," or "I don't think your family understands you the way I do." Over time, these comments chip away at your relationships, leaving you feeling more isolated and reliant on the manipulator. They subtly control the narrative around your relationships, which makes it harder for you to trust others and easier for them to control you. Emotional isolation can be extremely damaging because it takes away your ability to turn to others for advice, support, or comfort, leaving you vulnerable to further manipulation. In addition to these, emotional blackmail is one of the most dangerous forms of manipulation. This tactic involves someone using your feelings against you to get you to do something for them. Emotional blackmail can look like guilt tripping, where they say things like, "If you really cared about me, you'd do this," or "I've done so much for you and this is how you repay me." They make you feel like you're a terrible person if you don't comply with their demands, even if it's something you're not comfortable doing. Over time, this can erode your sense of self-worth and make you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. The manipulator knows exactly how to press your emotional buttons to get the desired response, whether it's guilt, shame, or fear. These are just a few of the tactics that manipulative people use to control those around them. The truth is, it's not always easy to spot these tactics, especially when you're in the thick of things. The feelings of confusion, guilt, and self-doubt that come with being manipulated can cloud your judgment. But it's important to recognize that the moment you feel like someone is trying to control or influence your decisions in a way that doesn't sit right with you, that's a red flag. So, how can you protect yourself from these dangerous tactics? One of the best ways to shield yourself from manipulation is to build strong emotional boundaries. This means knowing what you're willing to tolerate, where your limits are, and being confident enough to enforce them. If someone is trying to push you into doing something you're uncomfortable with, don't be afraid to stand your ground. It can be difficult, especially if the person is someone you care about, but your well-being and peace of mind should always come first. Another helpful strategy is to strengthen your self-awareness. When you know your own values, your goals, and what you want out of life, you'll be much better equipped to spot manipulation when it happens. Manipulators often prey on those who are uncertain or easily swayed by external opinions. So, take time to understand what you stand for, what you believe, and what's important to you. This clarity will help you maintain control over your decisions, no matter how much someone else tries to push you in a different direction. Finally, don't underestimate the power of outside perspective. When you feel like you're being manipulated, talk to someone you trust. Whether it's a friend, family member, or counselor, having a second opinion can help you see the situation more clearly. Sometimes, it's easy to get so caught up in the emotions of manipulation that you can't see the forest for the trees. A fresh perspective can help you break free from the confusion and regain control over your own life. By understanding the tactics manipulative people use, setting boundaries, and staying self-aware, you can protect yourself from these harmful behaviors and make sure you're always in control of your own decisions. And remember, no one has the right to manipulate you or make you feel less than. Your feelings, your choices, and your boundaries matter.